April is undoubtedly the most delicate month for all gardeners, and yet it's during this month that we plant many plants, even if it's cold. Yes, but we don't just plant anything. Take tomatoes, for example, in April. Don't expose yourself to the cold, but we can still plant them in the ground with one condition. It's to shelter them under a tunnel, for example, paired with marigolds. It's true for beans too, they need to be well protected. If you plant beans too early, they might get frostbite unless you protect them with a frost cloth, for example. The same goes for squash and zucchini. You can plant a few pots, always making sure to shelter them well. However, you can also leave them in the warmth until they continue to grow. At that point, you'll plant them in the ground starting in May. After the ice scenes, on the other hand, don't hesitate to plant anything related to lettuces. You can find them as seedlings right now in garden centers. So all the lettuces, whether it's oak leaves, butterhead lettuces, or Batavia, for example, are great for planting right now. We can also start the first curly endives and escaroles, early varieties that we'll harvest during the summer. All cabbages can be transplanted now, whether it's cauliflower, red cabbage, Brussels sprouts, or even fodder cabbages. You can plant these vegetables now. Even if it's cold, they are absolutely not afraid of anything. You can also find the first leeks right now, the leeks sold in trays, which you can transplant one by one in the garden. These are summer leeks. There's also a trend now to plant red beets as seedlings that you can plant now for an earlier harvest. It's also true for spinach, leeks, and beets. A golden rule: when it's time to plant the seedlings, you really need to soak them well in a basin a few minutes before planting. When it's time to plant, you'll want to separate the clumps one by one. You really need to keep them well, never take them out. And when it comes to studying or other plants, you should never bury them. So we carefully separate our clump, we place the clump on the soil, and what's really important is that the clump should always stick out. You should never bury it too deeply. Be very careful when buying cabbages. Make sure they aren't blind. A blind cabbage is a cabbage that no longer has a head, which may have been eaten by aphids. Later on, you would only have leaves and definitely not any butterhead cabbages or cauliflowers. And then, in conclusion, don't hesitate to plant anything related to aromatic plants right now, because they are not afraid of the cold at all.